Is it true that you went into labor with your son the week before or just days before the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm every working mother, forget about just sports. I'm every working mother's cautionary tale. Do not give birth 3,000 miles away from home. Um, I did. It was what's more improbable, an ice storm in Atlanta for Super Bowl 34 or Andrea giving birth there. So we always like to say that he couldn't believe that the Rams were about to win the Super Bowl and had to see it for himself. But yes, he was born in Atlanta. We lived in Los Angeles, and he was born in Atlanta 4 days before the Super Bowl. It was all good, which is what's most important. And he flew home at 11 days of age, which is another reason we always sort of joke, you had planes in your young lad. But yes, I want you to know that I got full clearance from my doctor before I went. I wasn't dilated. I was set. I was fine. This was the last trip I was going to make. My gynecologist and my OBGYN and my husband were joking. It'll probably be more stressful for her if she doesn't work the Super Bowl than if she does. But you learn quickly that they have their own little schedules, and he was going to arrive. So yes, that sad but true. It is not an urban legend. My baby was born at the Super Bowl.
And then, you went on air a few days later?
I did. Look, let me make it abundantly clear before people start talking about, early stage child abuse. He was I was actually I was actually released from the hospital. We stayed in the hospital with him. He was in neonatal unit. And Brandon, I was working for ABC and I was working for ESPN. And my story for ABC was running on the pregame show, and I was supposed to introduce it from the studio. Excuse me. I was supposed to introduce it, lead to it, and tag it from the field. We decided going to the actual, getting into the Super Bowl at that time would not be good. It would take too much time. But our pregame show on ESPN, I could get to. And I had been working on a story for almost a year, maybe one of the longest I'd ever worked on a particular story. And I really felt that I need closure. And I negotiated with my bosses, and, I'll get picked up from the hospital. I will come in, I will do the segment with Stuart Scott, the late Stuart Scott, and I will leave afterwards. And, I kind of hid my little hospital bracelet, and, but I felt like I needed to do it. And the baby was in no, he wasn't in any kind of danger or harm. I was gone for a few hours, came back. Stuart uttered this memorable line, because after the piece, we were talking about the fact that my son I had just given birth, and he said, we were all talking here in the studio, and we said, he came out of the womb and he said, cut the cord and get me Brian Billick on the phone. And probably not so long away from that. But anyway, it was it was something I needed to do. And then I went back to the hospital and watched the Super Bowl from my hospital bed. I'll never forget the Titans are driving, and this is the great Mike Jones, Kevin Dyson play that this close from the end zone, and they're driving, and the nurse wheels my son in for nursing right then. And I look at her and I go, don't even think about it. And my husband goes, she's just having a postpartum moment. Give her a second. Super Bowl, yay. Okay, bring in the kid. Here we go. So yeah, it's again, we can make good stories out of it now, but I assure you that in the moment, everything was safe and the baby was healthy.